Well, thank you for coming tonight. This is just a brief overview. We are here tonight because we find it to be very impactful to have a vision for our kiddos as they grow up and, go through the different journeys in their life. And one way of creating a vision is by doing a life trajectory. And we're here tonight to share how to create your own life trajectory and vision for your child. And then also about an all about me resource, which is something that a lot of school age kiddos do and provide to different teachers or any activities, really anybody. It's just a resource that you can have, a one pager. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and the importance of it. The main reason is it shapes your kid's future and it really helps support and facilitate better relationships because you're able to kind of have a little quick little, I can't come up with the word, but a quick little one-step sheet that kind of helps you share the important things that you want to share to your providers and educators. This is an interactive discussion, so we definitely encourage you to ask questions throughout the session if you have any specific questions. However, we do have at the end, we've allotted time for question and answer, and we can also answer if you want to wait and see if we hit on your question. Well, you can always wait till the end when we have that question and answer section. Kalani is going to start our evening off with the Charting the Life course, so I'll let her go ahead and take the lead.
The Charting the Life course is really a framework that provides all sort of tools for everybody to use, and it's free. And we'll hopefully have time at the end to kind of walk you through the website, but it really gets you thinking about everything about your child and their needs and their supports, and the visions included, but it's a really helpful sort of tool to use. And there's so many different within the framework, there's so many different tools that are provided. I did the ambassador program, wanted to learn more, and so I did every single tool that was in there, and it really realized a lot of things for me. It made me realize a lot of things about, like, just especially during about family supports, like what, as my child is growing older and we're growing older, what kind of supports are in place for him, who's available to help him when he needs help. That it really helps you kind of think about all that and puts it into writing, and it puts it into sort of a framework. So the core belief of the Charting the Life course is that all people have the right to live, love, work, play, and pursue their life aspirations just as others do in their community. It's developed to assist individuals and families of all abilities and ages. And it, like I said before, it provides tools and strategies for planning and achieving a good life. So it's really, next slide, please. Sorry. It's okay. So it's broken into a lot of different areas, like I mentioned. So the first thing is that it focuses on all people, and this means all people, regardless of age, ability, or family role. And they're involved in our vision and our values, and in terms of supporting our individuals with disabilities. We want to make sure that we consider everybody. We want to consider your related service providers, your brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, peers. So everybody is considered as part of this tool. Next is the family support systems and supports. And basically it's saying that, the one before. Okay.
Sorry, I'm a little crazy here.
That's it. Thank you. So we want to consider.
There we go.
Yeah, so family systems and support. So basically, again, what the roles are of our systems and of our supports. We know that it can change. Brothers and sisters may come into play. There are people who move out of our lives. Teachers, every year you get a new teacher, for example, related service providers again. So you want to really recognize that this person is somebody within the context of the family. So that's family systems and supports. And then next is the life outcomes. So basically it's individuals planning and families planning for the present and the future, and taking into account all aspects of the life. So from, infancy to aging, to when you're an older adult. So you want to look at everything and what we want in all those different stages of life. And then also within that, we wanted to make sure that the individual is building self-determination, that they can advocate for themselves and choose what they want and what their vision is for a good life. So, obviously in the younger ages, in the school age, it's usually more of a family vision. But as they get older, you kind of learn what their interests are, and you want them involved at that point where they can advocate, and they can and teaching them skills about advocating and having them decide what they want for their life. So then we have the life domains, and again, those life domains are all the different ages and stages, and that's also it includes a health, security, it includes shelter, includes housing. So and you think about these in each area of the life, what kind of things that they need to have a good life. Then you have the life stages and
Really,
trajectory. Sorry, go ahead. Did anyone have a
I was just
question?
going to say, what you're doing is you're starting backwards. So you're kind of looking at all of these things of what you want the good life to be and going backwards and kind of setting it up through all these different stages and categories. Sorry, go ahead. Keep
No,
going.
that's okay. So I think the yellow is a daily life and employment, community living, safety and security. You have healthy living, social and spirituality, and advocacy engagement. So those are really the life domains that you're looking at each stage of their lives. Then you have the life stages and trajectory, which is basically what we'll be talking about. But I wanted to just talk, you're taking a specific life stage, and you want to look at how the prior, the current, and future life stages look like, and how it impacts their trajectory. So we'll be talking about it a little bit more, so I'm not going to go too much into that. The individual and family supports already is the buckets, right? We have the big buckets and how they can be organized into these buckets. So the buckets are discovery and navigation. So having the information and tools that you need to navigate life, connecting and networking, making connections with peers and resources to help you navigate, and then goods and services, the day-to-day tangible items that you may buy or use from public and private organizations in your community. So those are the individual and family supports. Then the integrated delivery of support is basically things that are publicly or privately funding, like DDA, the whole, what is it, the $2 list. The list grant is, something that's publicly funded. So how all of these impact the good life. Also relationship-based supports, technology, and then also the individual's strengths and assets, as well as the family's strengths and assets, are all part of that integrated delivery of support. And then finally, you have your policy and systems, and this is how we can affect change, right? It's looking at the global picture and how policy affects our individual, right? So right now we have the blueprint for education, and so that's going to change a lot of things in MSDE, and so they're really working towards that. They're meeting with the CCAC members. So how that really impacts us as both caregivers, and then as the individual gets older, as them as well. So those are the sort of the core areas of the Charting the Life course. So that's just a little bit of a background. So we can move on to the next slide. Okay. So why create a vision? Well, it provides direction and guidance. It's really sort of a roadmap of your child's future. You set your clear goals and aspirations. It identifies the supports. It helps us to think about what we need for our child and what our child may need as they get older, what kind of supports they need, what kind of tangible and intangible things they may need. Do they need assisted communication? It really helps us to focus in on those needs of our children. It's proactive planning. It's early and ongoing planning. So this continually changes. The one thing I will say that it's a lot of work in the beginning. I think Erin and I will both say that it took us quite a bit of time to create these, both All About Me, the visions, but it was really worth it. And so I've been able to present my trajectory at every IEP meeting, so everybody can sort of focus on what at the end, what we're looking for and why we want to get there, and how do we get there. So everybody sort of knows what my vision is as a family, or our vision as a family is for our child. But like I said, it's a lot of work in the beginning, and it just, year to year, a couple of years, and especially during transition times, that's where you may need to change some of those, some of the language in there. And you may, delete some things that you have, you may add things. So, but it's really being proactive. And then empowerment. The family gets to take charge of the future of the child. As the child gets older, they take responsibility for they see their vision, they create their own vision, but it really kind of gives them a roadmap and a plan for them and how to get there. So it puts everything that you've been thinking about into a concrete plan. So the next slide, please. So just generally, these are questions to consider no matter the particular life category or age. So these are some of the questions that you might want to keep in mind, whether just starting on your journey or you're sort of going already in your journey. But these are really, I think, important to kind of provide that framework of when, to actually going down and putting it down in writing. So let's just sort of look at the questions. What are other people? And this is geared towards individuals who actually are self-advocates, but you can change it to the family vision. So what are other people doing at my child's age for work, fun, etc., and what adaptations or accommodations are needed so that they can have similar life experiences? Are they learning how to create and maintain community connections and social capital? How could assistive technology, adaptations, or accommodations assist in living the life that they want? Are they learning to access and integrate a variety of types of support? And this is like relationships, community assets, technology, and also the paid supports, they're related service providers, if you have tutors, things like that. Does the child have someone to talk about for feelings, emotions, and concerns so that the child doesn't feel alone? And is it, do they have somebody within the family and do they have somebody outside the family? Something also to consider. Does the child feel empowered to ask questions or disagree with professionals? And are they helped about knowing the questions to ask and how to assert their wishes? It's really a lot of the self-advocate training, right? That I think all our children will eventually need so that they can advocate for themselves. And then how are you encouraging self-determination at all ages, stages, and aspects of the life? And then are we as a family keeping an eye on the future and the next stages? So, from, like I said, the infancy to school age, and that's within that you have elementary school, middle school, high school, then the transition to adulthood, from adulthood to, aging and later stages in life. So are all those things being considered and learning how to navigate all of those different areas. Okay, so next slide, please.
Oh, that was it.
So how do we create the vision for your child? So you want to reflect on what a good life means, right? You want to write down what you envision a good life for your child. You want to consider their strengths, their interests, and passions. So what makes your child happy? Do they like being alone? Do they like being with other people? That's everyone's different. So what makes a child happy? What kind of activities do they enjoy? What skills or talents they may have? And then this is as important as what a good life means as like identifying what makes them happy, what makes them sad, right? What do you not want for them? So you want to list those things, what you don't want. So what situations make your child unhappy or stressed? What obstacles or challenges have negatively impacted their well-being in the past? And then you want to analyze their past life experiences. You want to look at their supportive experiences. So experiences that supported your vision of a good life for them. And you want to think about what positive experience have shaped the child's life so far, and what achievements or milestones have been significant. And then step 4 is you want to plan future life experiences. So you want to list your current and future life experiences that support your vision for a good life. And you want to think about what goals you want your child to achieve, what opportunities you want to provide for them. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so then you want to identify negative past experiences. So these are the ones that you probably want to avoid in the future because they didn't really work for the child. So you want to list these experiences that push your child towards the life that you don't want. What challenges or setbacks have hindered the child's progress? What situations do you want to prevent in the future? Next, you want to avoid the future negative experiences. So you want to list their current future experiences to avoid because they pushed it towards an unwanted outcome. So you sort of want to think about what potential obstacles that you can see and then what actions you can take to avoid those situations. Then step 7 is document and review. So basically write it down. write everything down and compile your reflections and listen to a cohesive vision statement. And Erin will be talking about, she did her vision statement after this. I didn't do the same way. I used, like I said, the life trajectory as my vision statement. And you want to, again, regularly update it, and look at it maybe once a year, every other year, what you think should be done. But if things change, especially, you want to make sure that's updated. So this is actually what the trajectory looks like, right? You sort of want to think about it as an arrow. So your target here is a good life. And so that a good life includes friends, family, self-determination, community living, social capital. And so you want to list all those things, and you want your child's trajectory to be upward, right? So all of those things that you were thinking about, what you want and how you get there is that upwards trend. But then you also are talking about what you don't want, right? What you don't want for your child, and that's the things that you want to list on the downward trajectory. And this has been really helpful for me. I just want, before I go into the planning part of this, because I think we all tend to live in the moment and think about what our child is doing now and what we want for our child now. But it's really helped me, like when I go back, if I get really frustrated with whether it's placement or certain accommodations or whatever it is, I always refer back to my trajectory, because it really puts things into perspective. I'm like, wait a second. This is what I want for a good life. It doesn't necessarily mean my child has to be in, the homeschool model, fully included, or in a diploma track. It doesn't necessarily mean that, because there's other ways to get there. So it really helps you, by looking in the future, really helps you to kind of make decisions and take things into perspective, because as we know, and I think Heidi will always say, that this is just elementary school, and it's 12 to 14 years of your child's life. You've got the rest of your child's life to think about. And that's really what you want to focus on. It's like, how do we get to where the child eventually needs to be when, they're independent, hopefully, or if they're not, but whatever, their rest of their life is going to look like. So I think this is just sort of really important to kind of refer back to, before an IEP meeting, before, any major thing that you're going to be facing, because it really does put things into perspective. Okay, so if you go to the next slide, so this is sort of a tool, and we're hoping to send this out. We'll plan to send this out to all of you, so you have this, so you can enter it on your own. But you can also find it in the life course. They have it; it's downloadable. I think you just have to enter information in. You can type it in or write it in or whatever. But again, it talks about like the past experiences, the good, the positive, and the negative experiences. It talks about the future life experiences, what you want, what you don't, and eventually your goals. So the best way to do this, at least for me, and people can do it differently, but what I did first is I looked at the end. I looked at my vision for a good life, right? And I listed all the things I wanted and then all the things I didn't want. And I sort of worked backwards from, well, actually, I'll say I started from that, then I went back to the first one where I looked at my past experiences and what led me towards that good life, or what would lead me to the good life, and then the negative experiences. And then I filled in the middle. So I started at the end, went to the beginning, and then filled out the middle part of it. And so next slide, please. So this is just sort of an example of, okay, I can go over. So this is ours for Joshua. So this is our family vision. And again, because he's school age, this is sort of a family vision.
Do you want me to go back?
You can.
Did you want me to go back all the way back? I'm sorry.
No, just one.
Or did
just
you want
one back?
Just one back. Okay.
Yep.
This one? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think that it's sort of similar to what I have as well. I mean, some of the things experiences are the same. So, looking at the chores, Boy Scouts, these are all the positive experiences. Well, I think let's start looking at the vision for the good life, right? Family, friends, girlfriend, vacations, all these things are probably interests that Ben had. And then all the things that they didn't want, right, for the child. And then starting again, what led them to kind of create the positive good life for them, and then what led them to not, the things that they didn't want. So I don't even think I looked at this. I felt like, by looking at examples, I was kind of not thinking of my own things. So I sort of just didn't look at any examples, and I just started with my own. And then And then I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, I should do school now. So it's all total up to you. If you need to get ideas, you can feel free to look at some examples. And so okay, so this is sort of our family vision for Joshua, right? And this was created when he was 9. I've changed it since because he's now going into middle school. But I'm going to try to see if I can pull it up a little bit bigger on my screen. So let's look at the positive experience, right? What I wanted for, or what we wanted for Joshua was to live independently with support, to be self-reliant, having a multitude of friends, both peers with disabilities and peers without disabilities, to have close relationships. I want my child, I don't care what he does, but I want him to have a passion, and to be able to pursue that passion. Being financially secure, being employed. I would like my child to be employed with a salary that allows him to be self-sufficient. We do a lot of traveling, and so I would, and he loves traveling, so I want that to continue and have different experiences while traveling. To be around family and friends, to be healthy and active, to be an inclusive environment, looking at maybe, going to college and having that full college experience. I'm so excited about Chirp Exceeds because, when we were first starting out, that wasn't available. I'm a Chirp, and I would like my child to go to the same school that I did and have those same, similar experiences that I did. Being a strong self-advocate and advocating for others with disabilities, being a leader, enjoying nature, cooking for themselves, and have life experience that are similar to those that are neurotypical. So if he wants to skydive, let him skydive. If he wants to, have a girlfriend, let him have, just whatever he decides he wants to do, having those same experiences. And most importantly, to be happy. And then what I didn't want is for him to be alone, to be taken advantage of, not having somebody to advocate for him, not having enough. And I know I want him to be a self-advocate, but I think it's important for him to have, support while he's advocating. So somebody else to also sort of help advocate for him. Not having enough money or poverty, not being supported, not being close to family or friends, not being able to make independent decisions, and being unhealthy or sickly. And so then we looked at our past experience. So we felt that, having play dates with friends without disabilities was important. And that's something that would lead to a good life. We had a membership at the pool. And so that there were a few kids with disabilities there, but most of them were neurotypical kids. So he was, able to play with friends there. Plus learning how to swim, right? Was an advantage of being a member of the pool. Traveling, since he was 3, we started traveling. Actually, since he was about 1.5 years, we started traveling internationally. So it's something that I grew up doing, and so did my husband, and he really enjoyed it. And so we want Joshua, to be able to do that. Establishing an ABLE on 529 account. And so this speaks to his financial security, inclusion in the general education setting, extracurricular activities, sort of dance and swimming, general healthy eating, hikes, exploring the outdoors. He's actually currently a Cub Scouts and going into Boy Scouts next year. So that's all. They do a lot of, they camp every month, I think, doing chores, going to Sunday school at church, and going to social events with the VSNMC. So those are all positive experiences that led to sort of what we envisioned for him as a good life. And some of the past experiences that didn't was, he has apraxia, so that he's unable to, for a long time, he was unable to advocate for himself. We were his advocates. He's now, able to talk a lot more. And so he's able to say what he wants and what he likes and what he, doesn't want. So people having low expectations of him, that definitely, is not something we want. And it doesn't lead to a life that we want for him. He had behavior challenges. So that kind of isolated him. And, people sort of saw the behavior and not the child and the potential of Joshua. And so I think, having that was something that we had to consider. And so this, being only in sort of Special Olympics or just disability specific activities. So we really try to do sort of a combination of both so that he's along peers. And I know some, as he goes older, those things sort of get limited, but there's stuff like open door sports where you're working with neurotypical peers. And so he's involved. And even with like the Special Olympics, he's done basketball, and they have volunteers from the school or from around that work with him. So it is sort of an inclusive setting there. And then being only in special education classrooms. So, and here again, we understood we didn't want that for our child. We did think about, okay, well, if he isn't going to be in special education classrooms only, what other areas his life can we put him in an inclusive setting? So, going to church, Boy Scouts again, or Cub Scouts are other areas that we thought about that he could, in his outside life school that he could do. And then I'm not going to read all of these, but the future life experiences, how do we get to our vision? And you can see all of these. And that just is really to think about what each area specifically of the good life and what steps you can take to get there. And then, again, what you don't want and, what we don't want to push on him. So that's the life trajectory. And like I said, we use it at every single IEP meeting because and we start off with us saying, this is what we want. And just make sure that when we're having our conversation, this is, we're all thinking about this. And it's really important that everybody who's making decisions about him think about what his life is eventually going to look like. I think, is that it? The next.
So I have just an example of what we did for my daughter. I took the same course as Kalani did and learned about the trajectory and all that stuff, but then kind of just created my own vision based off all of the stuff that we had listed that we wanted. So I give this to all of I used to give it to all of her, teachers in elementary school. And now that she's in middle school and now actually going into high school next year, I actually send this and the next section that we're going to go over, the All About Me sheet, to every single one of her teachers because she was going into 7 different classrooms throughout the day. And I just wanted everybody to kind of be on the same page to understand why we had Sophie where she was, to understand what we want for Sophie so that there weren't any questions on other people's minds when they saw her walk into their classroom. So I just said we have a connection, little category that we envision Sophie will develop meaningful, lasting friendships and relationships by learning to process more nuanced social cues and developing more sophisticated language skills so that she can forge meaningful, lasting relationships with peers. So that was the whole, we want to, the connection, which is a lot that was on Josh's as well. Inclusion, we envisioned Sophie to be a functional member of her school and community through inclusive classroom opportunities, with our entire family being collaborative, supportive members of the school community. In addition, she will receive appropriate individualized instruction, assistive technology, personal support, and related services such that Sophie has as much access to the general curriculum as her typical peers. Independence, we envision Sophie to live a full life of independence through building confidence and self-esteem and her ability to focus and complete a range of age-appropriate activities. We envision her to live a self-determined life of choice. We expect her to be an engaged, active community member, develop relationships, thrive as a student, and as she may one day attend post-secondary education, hold a job, and live with independence. We will assist Sophie in every step to reach her goal to live a happy, purposeful, filled life surrounded by love and support. And that it's our hope one day that Sophie will replace this vision with one of her own. So my, future goal is so that Sophie can actually sit down and create her own good life. But this is where we are, right now in our lives with her. And just another example. Okay, there we go. Now going to the next slide. So this kind of goes into that All About Me profile, which is next. And really, an All About Me profile is just a brief visual one pager for, introductions. And it kind of goes over strengths and what works, what doesn't work, helpful hints. I always put my vision statement on the back of it so that they also have that information. And really, in the end, it's something that will help build successful, positive relationships with different educators, therapists. It's kind of an easy way to introduce your kid to a new human that's going to be, teaching your child or working with your child, and everything you kind of would want to say in a quick speech to them, but that they can kind of have a chance to review it and look at it on their own, and it's cute and it's attractive, and that way, hopefully they'll really read it. And I know that I get a lot of great feedback when I sent out Sophie's in middle school because they had never seen something like that before, and it just makes me as a mom feel better as well. So going into the All About Me profile, and I've kind of touched on a lot of the benefits, but really it builds the positive connections. It helps initiate that relationship. It gives them a quick introduction about your kiddo so that they have a better understanding of who they just received in their classroom. It's concise, so it offers a brief summary, and it's kind of gives them a little glance at a glance. It can help with communication. I always, and you'll see on mine, I always say, please reach out to me if you have any, concerns. It outlines, things to her weaknesses, her strengths, and her needs. And it's a lot shorter than them reading the IEP. So it's kind of nice if there's specific things that you want to share, then it's kind of a quick, easy way rather than them reading everything in the IEP right, off the bat. And then it can be tailored. We used to send them to her, art, PE, music. I had one for them because, they don't always know your kids as well as your teachers do. So it's helpful, and it just helps open up that communication. So a step-by-step guide, really, you gather information about your vision, your strengths. So you use all that charting stuff that Kalani went through to kind of help you organize your thoughts. There are tons of free templates and different things on the internet. And I have a ton of links at the end of this slideshow. You customize it basically, any way you want. And then every year I update it to reflect anything specific based off, really it's minor tweaks that I do every year, but the big transition years, like when she was first going to kindergarten or when she was first going to, middle school, or just as they transition, it's been helpful. So these are just two examples, one of mine and one of Joshua's. And if you see here, what I do up top is I always date the year, and I put in, how old she is and what she did this summer, and that she has, Williams syndrome. And for us, her challenges, I talk about concerns and how she has no fear of danger of, strangers, and, what happens when she gets frustrated, just little things. She's highly distractible. Don't power struggle with her. It's just giving them just quick little helpful hints where I don't sound like that annoying mom, but I kind of have a cute little picture that kind of gives them those helpful hints and kind of lets me back up a little bit and let them get to know her, but still, the things that I want them to know before they really know her, they have. And then, Kalani, I don't know if you want to go over Joshua's. Hers is very similar. What doesn't work, what works best.
So what I included is the things sort of he loves, right? So things that can help, maybe some of the things is talking about, if he's upset or whatever, talking about these different areas. So I included that. Again, the what works best and what doesn't work. What I also included as a part of the strength is, so we use different words for mommy, daddy, aunt, and stuff in our language, and so he talks about his family all the time, and so people don't understand what he's trying to say, right? Because first of all, it's a foreign language, and then also with apraxia, so I made sure to include, like, if you hear Olawama, it means, my sister, his aunt. If you hear Hiama, it's his grandmother. And so at least they can familiarize themselves with, the words that Joshua uses often. And so they can, relate to him a little bit better. And then, so there's some of the, again, using what Erin said about IEP, what really we're focusing on in terms of his IEP is what I'm working on. So just the things that we thought were really important. I mean, obviously they're going to read the IEP, but I just kind of picked what we felt was really important for them to know. So,
and we will also send out this PowerPoint presentation because we have everything in here is hyperlinked. So you can use our examples. You can rewrite your own, however you want to do it. But I just want to let you know we have that coming to you guys, and it'll be in a PDF form, and we'll have Brooke send it out, hopefully to all the attendees tonight, and that way you guys can have that. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I can't see everybody for some reason. Oops, can you still see my screen? Am I here? You guys there?
We're here.
Okay. Let's see. Let me go back to the end, that last page. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I can't see everybody, Kalani. I don't know if you can. If anybody has their hand, if they have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Last page. Sorry, guys.
Hi, I'm Rose. I have a question for Kalani. So I think, Kalani, you have one child only, right? Just Joshua.
Yes.
So our challenge with Bobby is similar. He's the only child and he likes to stay at home. He likes it when it's quiet. And so it's hard to get him into social settings and we stay home a lot, unfortunately. So right now he's going into the third grade. Do you have any tips on how to get him more sociable, to kind of break that shell?
Sure. So what are some of the things he likes to do?
He likes to swim, he likes music, he likes dance, art.
Okay. So what we did with Joshua when he was in the beginning is we put him in like swim classes, right? So he was really comfortable in the water. And then, like I said, we joined a membership of the pool. And what I did initially, and even now I do that because he's generally more comfortable with adults. And I'm sure you just probably feel the same way too, because again, that's what he's used to. What I've done is facilitated sort of conversations or role played sort of playing because he didn't know how to insert himself into sort of a play situation, right? So like when we were in the playground and I saw sort of kids looking at him or, wanting to know sort of, you kind of get a sense if they want to play, but they're not sure. And then obviously we knew Joshua wasn't going to go out and ask somebody to play. So what I would do is just start, I had a ball with me. I'd start playing ball with Joshua, and I'd invite a kid, hey, you want to join? You want to catch? And usually kids, especially at the younger ages, I don't know about the older ages, they want to join in. And so, like I would play for them for like 5-10 minutes, and then I would eventually walk away. So then he had that kind of built a relationship with whatever the child, for that amount of time. He had a lot of trouble with the child to go. He had, he got he had transition issues, but at least he felt more confident, right? So now that he's more verbal, he's always asked me. He's like, you ask him. I said, he's like, I want to play. And he always tells me that. I said, no, you can use your words now. So I said, I will come with you, but you need to use your words and ask. And sometimes I have to translate it, things for him, but at least he's doing the asking himself. So it starts really kind of inserting yourself as a caregiver or parent, kind of facilitating that and then eventually walking away. And then joining on things like, you're never going to get your child to do something that they don't want to do. So I like same thing. Joshua loves to dance. So like recently we put him in dance in dance classes. He just joined the Special Olympics dance team. And so I think putting him in situations where he doesn't necessarily know everybody, and like he's met Sophie now, right? And so he's seen her on several different places, and now they did Special Olympics dance together. So now he's like, oh, I know Sophie, and he'll say hi to her and everything. So it's just making him feel more comfortable by sort of slowly getting him out of that comfort zone as well.
Thank you. He goes to the summer camp that is at his ESY, and there are some typical kids who are very friendly and they like to invite him to play. So that's good that that's happening. But I think also the other challenge I'm seeing is that at the camp he's at, the director kind of feels that she needs more help with him. And so he's not complete independent yet. And she's saying, well, he needs a one-to-one. We're going to go to the pool on Thursday. And I just feel the hesitation, but we can only do so much, but then we also have to understand their side too. So I just try to work with them as much as we can.
And just to let you know, there are camps that have inclusion programs. So, and that aren't, so I know Montgomery County has, their recreation. You can ask for a one-on-one. Josh has been going to Gaithersburg City camps since he was 5. So before even school started, before kindergarten, and he's always had a one-on-one inclusion counselor. I've told him, the last few years, our goal is for him not to latch onto that one-on-one, but to have them help facilitate sort of that. What I would normally do is that interaction with his peers as opposed to just being him in that one-on-one. So but there are and I think a lot of Montgomery County events as well, if you ask in advance, they can provide that inclusion person.
Thank you.
Yeah. Montgomery County and City of Rockville offer free shadows
In Gaithersburg too.
All their camp programs. So it's just an option.
We will try that next year.
We're actually doing the therapeutic rec program, which is actually for all kids with needs, and it's our first year, and our main reason is because she's 15, and you can't find really camp for 15-year-olds unless they're going to sleepaway camp or their CIT or they're working, and she loves it. So I mean, if you ever get to that option, as you know, it's been an amazing experience.
Erin, which one are you guys going to?
We're at Glen Allen.
Oh yeah, that's where Ethan is.
Okay.
Sorry, I should turn my camera on so you can see who you're talking to. Hi. My son Ethan he's 7.5, so he's going into second grade. And I was Rose, I just sent you a message on chat because this is the second year that he's done it. The first year I was like, oh, this is a lot. Like there's a lot of like really high need kids in there, but he loves it.
Yeah. Oh, my daughter's like in heaven.
And it's really great because it works with ESY and like, I don't know, there's so many adults there. You don't even need a one-on-one, which is why they do it. I mean, the ratio is really good. So I like it. And it's so cheap.
Does he go there after ESY, before and after ESY?
They have a bus.
He goes after ESY.
Okay.
Until 5:30.
Our challenge is Bobby doesn't want to go to school sometimes, and so I stop the morning bus altogether and we drop him off.
Oh. But he comes in the afternoon.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say they'll drop him off in the afternoon. I mean, Sophie isn't doing ESY, so I drop her off in the morning and I pick her up at 4 in the afternoon, and it's so cheap.
So cheap. For like 5 weeks, it's like a quarter of what I pay for my other child to go for 1 week. It's great.
Only they would help with diapering needs.
That's frustrating.
That is frustrating.
I think does the therapeutic one help with the diapering?
They do not.
They do not. Okay. Yeah, and that's the one thing with even Montgomery County and Gaithersburg is that's the one thing. Yeah, they need.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Clothes
I mean, I remember with Joshua, like he was able to pull down his pants and put on new, so they'll help. They won't they won't do it.
They won't do it. Yeah.
This was our additional resources page where we have all the, different links and different places where you can find all about me resources. And then also my all about me is also hyperlinked into this, and my mission as well is linked into this PowerPoint. So in case anybody wants to create one.
I just want to take a quick moment and thank both of you for those people who might have to pop off. But also, please notice in the chat, I put the link for the evaluation just to let us know what your thoughts, if you had any additional thoughts or questions or what you might add, or if you just thought they were amazing, let us know. And please take a moment to fill out that evaluation. And also, as mentioned, we will be sure and get all of this information to you, and you will have access to all of these things. Just give us a little bit of time, as there are some vacations going on right now.
Yeah, summer travel.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share that, for the life trajectory. I'm gonna see if I can pull it. Hold on 1 second.
Do you want me to pull it up right here, or do you want to share it?
Yeah, if I can share it, I think I had it to the site where everything we needed. This is it. You can go ahead. I can probably work through. You can go ahead and share then. You can get that. I don't see where I have it then. You can pull up the life course, the charting the life course, please.
You want me to?
Please.
Okay, hold on a second. I gotta go back. Yeah, I have it up, so I just have to figure out where I am now.
I know that was my problem too. Being on two screens instead of one.
Here we go. Share. All right. Where do you want me to click?
So if you go up, scroll up to
library.
So the framework. So if you go to the framework, it'll kind of go through, what it is. But really,
I can go
the
back.
Foundation tools, and I think
it's fine. Going back. It's just really slow. There we go.
So this explains what everything is. The Foundations tool. So go to Family Perspective.
And Parents Place of Maryland every so often does these trainings, and this is where Kalani and I both got trained on it. But it's pretty much what we just gave you. But if you ever wanted to look more into it, always they have a really good training program at several several weeks, a couple months actually, I think.
You're gonna scroll down. So
Oh,
here are all the templates that what it describes, and if you actually go into, there's videos on a little bit more description on how to fill it out. So it's just like in terms of navigating.
here we go.
Here we go, right here,
Is that
right.
correct?
So yeah, that's it right there. So you can watch the video if you want to go back and get more description on how to fill it out. It's there, but I wouldn't. These are a little complicated, but at the very least, if you're doing the family trajectory, I think is really useful. In that video, we'll explain it as well. So they'll give you other additional examples. So yeah, I mean, these are the family roles, like what everyone should be involved. I mean, there's a lot, and it's very useful tools, and it can get overwhelming. So that's what we wanted to just give you all, like what we found really, really useful in terms of presenting to, everybody. So, but, like Karen said, I think it's really important if you can and have the time to see if you can take one of these classes, because it really makes you think about all the things that are sort of in the back of your mind and helps you to put it down in writing.
One thing that we want to bring, Kalani and I both sit on the education committee, and with that, we're trying to come up with different workshops and different speaking sessions that, other parents might be interested in. And one that I really want for, some of our older kiddos now is self-advocacy, and like really kind of showing us how to really get our kids so that they can write their own mission and their own, or maybe even doing like a mission goal, like a goal statement, workshop of some sort. But just because this is really, if you have a goal and you have a vision, then it's so much easier to know what your good life is, and then kind of work backwards so that you can get there with the help of your kid.
And they'll tell you sometimes what you may think is a good life for them, they may not. You will tell you that. I think that's it. I mean, if we don't have any other, is there something in the chat? I just want to make sure we covered everybody.
What's Shannon's kiddo's name?
Ethan.
Ethan. Okay, I'll have to ask Sophie. She happens to know like all the kids. She's the one, right? Was she the one that goes to? Yeah. I walk in, they're like, "Hi, Sophie's mom." Like, how do you know?
Well, you should ask Sophie if she knows the little boy who comes dressed as Spider-Man.
Okay, she'll definitely know Ethan then. Sophie was dressed as Wonder Woman the other day.
We weren't there last week. Apparently, there's a blow-up Spider-Man that we missed. I'm not going to tell him about it.
Well, thank you, everybody.
This was great. Both of you.
Thank you, both of you. And again, I'll be sure and get all of this information out to all of you. And thank you so much, Erin and Kalani.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the summer.
Enjoy. See you at camp.
Bye.